I'm starting a new series here telling you what I would do if I woke up and I'd lost it all. No following, no business savings, no team, no Ashlyn Writes copywriting agency, or shop of copywriting templates and products, nada. And I told my husband I was making this video today and we both laughed because absolutely something I would change is paying myself a regular scheduled paycheck every week. Kind of missed that at the beginning of my business and learned from it. This video includes that and so much more because entrepreneurship is kind of the weirdest psychological experiment you can conduct upon yourself. Hit like if you agree with that. So here's in detail what I would do in a simple step-by-step daily process. I'm actually breaking this down into 4 weeks and telling you what I would do every single week for a month. This is also without any big capital to invest in a business, a little bit of skin in the game, but not a whole lot. But what I'd do if I knew then what I know now about entrepreneurship, marketing, and business. This series is gonna include everything from building out a beautiful long-form work with me page for your website, to finding your brand voice, to finding what I call your onlyness factor. But to get those videos and make sure you see them, you're gonna have to subscribe. So hit that button below and the bell next to it to make sure you don't miss out. By the way, if we have not yet met, my name is Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter and brand and launch strategist for creative entrepreneurs, because not knowing what to say shouldn't be the thing that's holding you back from making sales. And let's hit it. It's week 1, and the very first thing I would do is follow the sage wisdom of niche down to blow up. So to start doing that, I would start exactly the way that I did when I was thinking of leaving my corporate marketing job. I'd open up Gmail, start to type an email to my very best friends and family members, and start to ask them where they saw my interests, my natural inclinations, the things I was good at, my professional skills, etc. I wanted to know what other people saw my natural inclinations and tendencies were. This also helped me begin to get a feel of what were the things people naturally asked me to help them with. Friends were always asking me, hey, can you proof this before I send it to my boss? Or can you look at my resume before I send it off? If you had to craft a social media campaign for my job, what would you do, Ashlyn? I don't do marketing at all, so what would you do? As I'm thinking through whatever responses I'm getting back, I would also totally decide and be firm in the fact that I'm gonna start another service-based business. I would not build out a digital product or a physical product first, more on that in a sec. But no matter what, I would want to build my business again based on what I know and love. If you're new around here, I actually started my business with a foot in calligraphy and in copywriting. I did half and half for a good 3 years. While I had a corporate marketing job, I had a moonlit gig as a wedding calligrapher, so that's an industry I already knew. I knew what it was like to try to book and work with brides. I knew what it was like to try to fulfill a creative service for someone. And in my marketing job, I knew my favorite aspect of it was the actual copywriting portion of it. It was not pitching and trying to land media or public relations. So I'm starting to see where things are overlapping here. There's a French phrase I've talked about before, cherchez le genou. That's a pretty good accent. Basically, I'd be trying to find the Ashlyn-sized gap in the market. And so that's what I'm gonna ask you to do if you're just starting out. Where's the you-sized gap in the market that you can go out there and fill? Comment below gap if that idea makes sense to you or if that's what you're trying to find. So fast forward to now I am a mom of 2. So probably as I start to brainstorm here in week 1, one thing I would look into is the mom industry and the mom niche. What are some parenting niches that I can look into? I grew up intently studying classical ballet, so I'd probably also look into that niche, the performing arts or the fine arts industries. At this age, I've also developed an interest in apologetics, so I'd probably try to brainstorm and look at things in the theology niche. I'm throwing all this out there because I want you to understand I would be running the entire gamut of things that I might be interested in or I might have some level of expertise in. And again, where those interests in my background overlaps with that market gap, the market need, that's an area that I am going to focus on first when I'm trying to figure out what service I could provide. In next week's video, I'm going to talk more about how to find the message or the unique selling proposition of what it is you do, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. But back to week 1, I am focusing hard on listening in these first 5 days. A few other things I would do is look at calendars and see what meetups I can go to surrounding these niches that I've brainstormed. And one thing I did back in 2015 that I would do again is create a basic type form like on their non-paid, just basic account. And I would ask a series of questions in there, very easy, and put that on my social media accounts, send it out to friends and family because again, I'm trying to just listen, just put my ear to the ground. Now, around the middle of the week or Wednesday, here's what I'd do. I'd explore the numbers. I'd start to assess the reality of what I actually needed to make. Now, I mentioned I'd start a service-based business. I would do that because that is going to be the fastest way that I can actually make money. It's going to take fewer services spots filled to make money than selling digital or physical products usually. I started my own business after I got out of partial hospitalization and I was pretty newly married, and I had to actually make my corporate income. And so this is a place where starting here with providing services and being able to charge what it was worth, that was so helpful to begin to replace that salary. So I'd do it again. Like I teased at the top of the video though, I would go ahead and try to figure out what that home budget is, what I actually need to bring home to cover bills, and I would set a monthly revenue goal for my business based off that. Then I would come in and determine pricing and actually how many slots I needed to take on. I'd work backwards to figure that out. I've talked about it in other videos, but figuring out what your enough is and then arranging a business to meet that is paramount. Okay, and then towards the end of this very first week, the thing that I would work on is finding and establishing routines. You learn so quickly that time is money when you're an entrepreneur, and depending on whatever stage of life I would be in, I need to be at my best. So again, right now, very different from when I started my business. I'm now a mom of 2, so I would rework and try to figure out what morning routine can I do to set myself up for success? Then when I sit down, get my booty in my chair, what do I need to do for my, what I call my rest to work, wind up routine? What 5 things do I need to check off before I start my big concentrated buckets of work time? I need to figure out what I need to do to wind down and then go back to family time. I would also try to establish some sort of dream week schedule. What big focuses do I need to have each day of the week to make sure I'm ticking off the big pieces of running a business? I'll talk about this more as I make this video because this is one of those things that I figured out as I was in business, and it did not come naturally right off the bat. By the end of week 1, I would also start time tracking like crazy. No, I don't have to do this forever, but I would need to begin to see, again, like I said, time is money. And the last thing I'd do is begin to get myself in a habit of a grassroots marketing strategy. I'm gonna start this service-based business. I need clients. So I wrote down a few things that now here in 2021, when I'm recording this, I'm right here on the side, that I would probably try to challenge myself to do every single day as part of those routines that I mentioned. Also, to the person that's gonna comment, I talk with my hands a lot. I do. I am getting really excited about this video. Okay, so the goal of this week 1 is habit building and putting my ear to the ground and listening, and that's gonna bring me to week 2. At this point, I've had my ears wide open. I have some sort of semblance of an idea of what kind of service I could create. This is gonna be my hypothesis for a signature flagship offer that I think I can provide. So I'm gonna kick off my Monday here by popping open that type form that I mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna scroll through it to see what kinds of things people said that they wanna learn from me or they would look to me to help them with. This survey, plus all of the research that I've done, hopefully by scrolling different forums and Facebook groups, plus all the feedback from my friends and family that I sent in that email on day 1, all that is gonna lend itself to helping me craft and create this hypothesis that I think I can provide. So by the end of week 2, day 1, hopefully I can answer the why me question. If I've done this right so far, I've started with trying to find that gap in the market and seeing how I can serve people in a very specific way with my skill set, my past, my story, and what I bring to the table. So on Tuesday of week 2, I would begin to outline a very basic service provider offer ladder, and here's exactly what that would be. I'm going to provide 3 different ways that you can work with me, starting with an hourly consulting call. This is also going to provide a way for me to continue to research and listen to people, what they need. It's going to give me a gazillion different copy swipes that I can use as I begin to draft my website, sales pages, etc. I'm going to have an offer where you can buy a VIP day and book me for an entire day. And I'm going to provide a basic bare bones skeleton of that signature flagship offer. This is the package I want to test. Now, I did a video recently where I walked through the pros and cons of providing VIP days or day rates in your business. I think it's pretty great. I'll link it below so you can look at that if this is something that you want to provide or you want to clean up the way you already offer them. Day rates are going to be something that's absolutely on the menu because I can provide more of a high volume of them. They're just a day, and it's going to fast track, help me understand what my processes are, what my workflows are, and how to tighten them to do them faster. I'm going to include a list over on the side of the screen of some of the things I want to consider as I'm brainstorming the bare bones skeleton of that signature flagship offer. To wrap up this Tuesday on week 2, I would also begin to set set some financial targets I think I can hit. I would figure out, what do I need to do to bring home the bacon here in the next quarter, the next 3 months from this start date, and how many package slots can I actually fill? How many day rates do I want to provide? How many hours do I want to give away in consulting calls? I would also start to determine some basic pricing on this date. I would start to do some research and development and look at what other people provide this as a service. What do they charge? But again, remember, I'm coming into it based off of what I know I need to bring home. I'm setting my rates based off that, meshed with the industry standards. So hopefully I'm not outpricing my industry by undercutting them, but I'm also taking into account that I need to actually make money to make this thing work. Wednesday through Friday of week 2, I'd create a very basic website. My goal here is to build an application funnel. I would again decide to name my business after myself because this gives me room to pivot based off what I'm going to provide. So here I would buy the domain. Specifically, that is going to enable me to use a more professional email address than just like @gmail.com. My final objective here in week 2 is to get a basic website set up with the 4 main pages that you need. I've done a video on this and I'll link it down below, but that's going to be your home, your about page, work with me, and a contact page. 100% instead of freaking out and trying to put together a brand visual guide, I would just buy a pre-made one. My friend Angela at Saffron Avenue has gorgeous ones. I would also look at Tonic's site shop. I'd see if there's some sort of website template I can use. 100% I would not go custom right off the bat because I don't even know if this whole thing's gonna work. Remember, I'm in week 2 of starting my business. Everything is still a hypothesis. I'd use a past headshot from a previous job, did that too, but I'd begin to be on the lookout of a photographer that I could potentially trade services with. I think trading is absolutely okay if that person is also at your business level and you're both trying to get going together. That can be a great way to meet your needs. Notice that I did not start this whole process by building the brand. I began it by building the business, and the brand's gonna come on the back end of that. I think way too many people get caught up in the sexiness of picking your mood board and your color palette and your fonts and your logo. That's great, it's going to help you, but the beginning of it is elsewhere. So yes, I'm setting up here the most basic funnel, a services page onto an application form. I'm going to talk more about this in the coming weeks, so hit subscribe so you don't miss that video. The last things I'd do here in week 2 are test like crazy the funnel that I'd built on mobile and desktop. I'd clean up my LinkedIn profile and begin to use that website, hyperlink it. I'd also snag the handles or begin to clean up things like Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, YouTube, etc. So these first 10 days are hustling. But at this point, I have a niche defined. I have a service hypothesis that I'm pretty sure I can do a dang good job delivering. And I have some offer slots where I can begin to continue to keep my ear to the ground and understand what people need and how I can better provide whatever it is that they need and solve a problem. Plus, I've got that basic online presence, so I look a little more legit. Week 3, my goal here is to sell at least 1 day rate and 2 consulting calls so I make cash back, which I need at this point. I'm gonna get there here by promoting my little booty off. One mindset shift that's helped me here, I would absolutely try to do again, is decide that my competitive advantage is serving like crazy and giving over and beyond anything I see out there, just trying to really get people exactly what they need. I'd get gritty, I'd get really dang good at keeping my word. I feel like you'd be surprised at how many people out there just don't keep their word and get people the deliverables that they need to on time. I'd say thank you a lot. I would write a shiz ton of thank you notes. I would pitch guest writing opportunities. I'd also probably set up some sort of spreadsheet to track the relationships that I was building and fostering, and if these people needed me, how to get in touch with them. Just so much relationship building in week 3. And when I did land a client, this is what I'd do. I would go above and beyond when it comes to serving them, and I'd also surprise and delight along the way by providing extra deliverables. Then I would follow things up with this magic phrase. I'll put it down here. You've been an amazing client. I would love more clients exactly like you. Do you happen to know somebody who may be in need of the services that we've worked together on? And would you mind connecting me with them? So here at the end of week 3, I'd begin to have some sort of an idea of what a weekly rhythm could feel like. Maybe I want to do marketing stuff at the beginning of the week and service provider stuff at the end of the week. Again, here, hopefully I've landed those 3 client spots and sold them. So selling is getting a little bit easier here. could I now then pick out one day a week or one day a month where I can just focus on content creation, and that is going to live on my blog, on my website. Then I'm going to pick just two dissemination tools where I can get that out and take that pillar piece of content I've created and shoot it out on other different platforms. Again, I'm just going to pick two if I had to start all over. And at this point, again, 2021, I would likely pick number 1, email marketing, and number 2, some sort of video social media tool. Probably Instagram Reels, maybe TikTok. The last thing I do is boost any lives or videos that I have done and put on social media with about $20 behind it, so I can try to get those in front of lookalike audiences. I'm not gonna put a ton of stock in ads right off the bat, but that's likely something I can do here. Okay, week 4, the last week in the month of starting all over if I had nothing. Here, my goal is to find a sustainable rhythm for the business because I have been hustling my tail off. Now we need things to get more sustainable. Now again, hopefully I have sold those 3 spots. If I hadn't yet, then I would continue that traffic plan until I did. But now I begin to wrap my head around how can I keep this business going and market the service but actually provide the service as well and go above and beyond when I do so. I actually really like the batch day system I set up early on in my business. I think it was my 2nd year in business that I set this up. I still do it. Marketing Monday, client work Tuesdays, product development Wednesdays, calls and meetings on Thursdays, finances and internal stuff on Fridays. The last 2 things I'm gonna do in week 4, the first is start to screen grab and capture and figure out any sort of feedback or case studies or testimonials that I've gotten from the clients that I've worked with, these 2 to 3 clients. I've got to use that social proof to keep getting me more clients. The other thing I want to do is revisit that signature service, that flagship service that I want to provide. I'd start to figure out how can I clean that, how can I clean the messaging, how can I clean the deliverables of it. Again, maybe one day I want to do a digital or a physical product, but in doing so much of the service provider work, that's going to give me the leg and the groundwork to stand on and truly understand how I have tested a hypothesis and it's proven itself, and I can show that out in other different ways. Oh my gosh, at the end of these 4 weeks, I would absolutely rest. I would try to study sales calls, see how I can get better at selling on the phone and closing the leads that I'm bringing in. And I'd probably dust off that application funnel too, strengthen it a little bit. Whew, okay, now you know exactly what I would do if I had to start over, and be sure to subscribe so you can get those next 2 videos I have where I'm gonna break this down a little bit more and just pretend like we're going from nothing. Now, after I got my groove and was ready to make a bigger splash, one thing I would do is plan some sort of a pre-launch into a launch phase. This is gonna get out that signature offer that I've worked so hard to develop, maybe a cleaned up, refreshed website, maybe a digital product version of the service that I'm providing. And if you wanna hear everything you need to do to move into pre-launch, be sure to watch the video I've got teed up for you next where you're gonna see that. If you liked this video and it helped you out, let me know by clicking the like button. Again, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next ones, and comment below with any questions that you may have. Thanks for watching. Here's to working from a place of more rest, less hustle, and I'll see you in the next one.